Very good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Happy Hour experience, or the Success Happy Hour with the Drunken Grape. We are continuing to roll with international real estate, with inflation, a cost of living crisis pounding North America, especially Canada. My native Canada is an absolute mess right now. Takes something like $180,000 a year of income to even afford a regular house these days. It's insanity. People are fleeing left and right. They are emigrating into other countries, particularly Central, South America, and the Caribbean. We're doing a Caribbean focus today. The beautiful Dominican Republic shares an island technically with Haiti. It is the beautiful part of that island. Up and coming, growing economy, adequate healthcare. Healthcare, of course, is taking off. These are things you all got to care about when you're looking to relocate. Property values. I believe you can purchase something in the very low six digits, $100,000, maybe a little over that will get you a very good property in the Dominican Republic right now. It is a beautiful place. Sosua, Punta Cana, Cabarete, you've got La Romana. You have these amazing places involved. And to join me, Dominican Republic real estate investor expert and now involved as a realtor for investors, Sergio Manzur, native of Argentina, lived in Toronto, now in the Dominican Republic. Welcome to the Success Happy Hour, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, make sure to smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and comment, share this because it helps the algorithm. Getting into it. Welcome to the show, brother. Sorry for that segue. How are you, Sergio?
Hi, Rob. Thanks for the intro. Nice being here. So that's awesome. Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, and you got a beautiful setting behind you. Whereabouts exactly are you? I believe are you in Sosua?
Yes. I'm in the north coast of the Dominican Republic, specifically in Sosua. I'm currently in my home. So this is a house that we built on a gated community, on a really nice gated community here called Sosua Ocean Village. So last year we bought the lot, we hired a builder, and a few months ago, the property was ready and we moved in. So to nice. Us it's a custom built home, large 3-bedroom, spacious with lots of amenities. It's been a dream come true for us to be able to have this house call our home right now, right? So.
Well, cheers to that, my friend. We'll do the happy hour. I've got an Erdinger Cristal.
Cheers.
This is a light wheat beer, highly carbonated from Erding, Germany. This follows purity laws. It's actually a brewery that's been around since 1866. Or 1886. It's into its 6th generation. Using predominantly barley, hops, malt, and yeast. Has some wheat in the grain bill. This is wonderfully crystal clear. Some light fruit notes on it, some citrus notes, some tropical notes. A bit of banana comes up on the ester on this, the beautiful Erdinger glass. What are you drinking, my friend? I think you got El Presidente. That's a great
I'm
lager.
actually drinking the most known, cheers, Rob, the most known beer here, local, called Presidente, which is awesome. It's actually a really, really good beer, and you're going to see everyone, lots of people drinking this beer here, even foreigners, right? So I really like it.
Yeah, I remember that one being pretty citrusy, light cereal notes, really well carbonated, as is this beer. You want light ales or lagers in hot climates. You do not want heavy beers in hot climates. It just doesn't go well, I find. You want things that are refreshing on the palate. So cheers to you, my friend. Let's get into this. What got you into this? How did you come across the Dominican Republic? Why the Dominican Republic?
Okay, that can be a very long story, but I'll try to make it short. So I immigrated with my wife to Canada in 2007. We can talk about that later on. But before, I'm originally from Argentina, right? So that's where we were born and raised. So I worked there, and lived there until my mid to late 30s. And at that time, I was working for a management consulting firm, and they sent me for a project to Santo Domingo.
Oh,
to a
cool.
project, an engagement at a bank. And I stay for one project, and then I stay for another project, and then I stay for another project. So basically, I ended up living in Santo Domingo, maybe coming and going every once in a while, but most of the time, of about 10 months, I spent it living in Santo Domingo, which is the capital of the Dominican Republic, and that really gave me the chance to know the island and the country pretty well. So almost every weekend I was going to different places. Like I really wanted to seize the opportunity to know the whole country, right? Which is a sizable country. Some people think, oh, this is a small island. No, it's not a small island, right? I mean,
Big island.
the island is called like Hispaniola. About one third is Haiti. Two-thirds of the geography is the Dominican Republic. But the Dominican Republic itself is a country of 11 million people, and it's even larger than Switzerland, right? So it's not that small. You want to drive from one end to the other, and of course you don't have the highways that we have in Canada, but it's still going to take you like 5 hours. So it is a pretty sizable country. But again, the weather, like everyone in the Caribbean, the weather is amazing, the geography is amazing, and it has so much to offer. It's not just the beach, right? It's also the jungle, the mountains. There is really a little bit of everything, right? So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm going to showcase a video leading up into this when we get the video edited. But yes, the Dominican Republic. I mean, I've been there 2 or 3 times now. I'm trying to think here. Twice. I was in Punta Cana, and then I was up in near Puerto Plata. I preferred Punta Cana. But I hear Sosua is beautiful. I have a friend looking to buy property. There's tons of Canadians looking to buy there. But you're right. There's so much to do.
Yeah, I'm sorry, to go back to your previous. Yeah, so to go back to your previous question. So 20 years ago, when I was here for work, I got to know the island. So then we immigrated to Canada. Canada was a blessing, really, for us, for our family. My kids were born in Canada. We always live in the GTA, and everything was fantastic. It was really a blessing. That's where we could settle, have a peaceful life, raise a family, do well financially. Like it really was a dream come true. But again, we all know what happened to Canada under the current government over the last few years, how everything really went down on the
big time,
really bad. So my wife and I started investing big time in real estate not so long ago, probably around 6 years ago. So as a progression of our investing journey, at the beginning of 2022, when we had all the Freedom Convoy and all that crap and all the lockdowns, we said, okay, you know what? If there is another lockdown, another crap happening, we need a place to go. So why don't we find a vacation rental that hopefully can pay for itself? So it's still an investment, but we can go if we need to escape Canada, right? Or at least to escape Canada for a while. So that's how we started looking for a place, because I knew the Dominican Republic, and specifically we are in the North Coast, so actually close to Puerto Plata. So Sosua is about 15 minutes from the Puerto Plata airport if you drive west, and then if you drive another 15 minutes west of the airport, that's where you have Puerto Plata, which is the third largest city, about 300,000 people.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
But it's beautiful. Yeah, it is beautiful here. There is a lot of variety of geography, different type of beaches. Like the variety is here. I mean, Punta Cana is beautiful too, but it's kind of more like homogeneous what you get. Here you have a little bit of everything. You have very secluded beaches that are great for snorkeling, for swimming, and then you have beaches that are open to the Atlantic Ocean, wavy, windy. So this is a paradise for water sports enthusiasts, right? Kiteboarding, kite surfing. It's one of the best places in the Caribbean for water sports, right? So, and at the same time, it's full of Canadians, it's full of Americans. Like there are a lot of foreigners living here, like calling this place home and living here, peaceful, like large community. Many people have been coming here for for decades, for sure, probably for the last the last 40 years, I would say. But again, the last few years with everything that's happening in North America, it really accelerated, right? So,
yeah, and you have a lot
it's
more
really, we
freedom in
find,
those. True.
oh, yeah, yeah.
That's
Here
awesome.
you definitely feel free. I mean, here you can do whatever you want, right? No one's gonna bother you. It's actually pretty safe here in the Dominican. If you look at the stats, yeah, there is some crime in the in the large cities, but all these areas there are no issues. It's really, yeah, very, very safe.
Yeah,
The only
especially
thing that
it's
you will
true.
hear is, yeah, the only thing that you will hear is some petty crime, right? Maybe break-ins into properties that are not in a gated community and that are clearly, unoccupied, so that those things can happen, but it's not very common. But for the most part, it's a paradise, right? And foreigners love living here, and you really and the community attracts even more foreigners, right? Because you come here, and for some people that I speak Spanish fluently, it's my native language, but for many people that come here and speak only English, you can still get by because the community is so large, right? And you're going to have everything that you need, and services provided in English too, right? So
That makes sense. And there's a lot of people from the Dominican Republic that speak English fluently. You have a lot of people that go back and forth from the States or Canada that do business.
yeah, yeah,
It's
exactly.
definitely
You have
has
a lot
aspects
of
of an affluence.
Yeah, you have a
Sorry, go
lot
ahead.
of Dominicans a lot of Dominicans that live now in the US and Canada that come back and forth, and many are actually coming back, right? Many are investing too, right? Purchasing real estate. I know we'll probably get into the market at some point in time, but the market here is quite hot, right? You see a lot of development. You really see a lot going on for sure. So.
Well, I mean, and let's get into the affordability crisis. For the average house in Toronto, that's over $1 million. I mean, that gets you an outhouse basically. In Ottawa, 800 grand gets you basically a glorified townhouse. Interest rates are rising. People are folding. I mean, you're looking at mortgage payments going from $1,400 to $3,500 after tax income. By the way, when people talk this is after you've had 50% of your income ripped out of your pocket by the government. It's insane over here. We're akin now to like a second world country. People don't want to hear that, but I really believe this is the facts of Canada right now. Dilapidated healthcare. You have 1/10 of the population trying to get a doctor. So tell me why. We got digital nomads moving. I'm looking to go elsewhere myself. I've got some connections to do wine and beer tastings, getting into property. That isn't an announcement I'll make formally a bit later. Not in this show anyway, because we're going to focus on what you're doing. But what are the average rents for a decent place, and what's the average cost to buy a decent place that's well trafficked, that you can turn into an investment income property, that you can also come and live in part of the year as well? Like what kind of costs are we looking at with this?
Yeah, so this area, because you're talking about a 50-kilometer stretch from a little bit west to Puerto Plata all the way to Cabarete. So as I said, there you have very distinct like sub areas, right, that have its own geography, its own community, very different, right? So that's why talking about price points sometimes is a little bit challenging because it depends on where, right, as always. But if you want to rent something in a nice location, the rents are not super cheap, and we see the rents that are going up. So, if you want to rent a condo in a nice place, it's not going to be less than $1,000 per month, I would say. And then on a really nice condo, like large ocean front, etc., with a really nice view, nice location, it can go easily to 2,000 or 2,500, right? If you want to rent a villa, so here the houses are just called villas, you are gonna have to pay minimum like 16, 1,700 all the way up, depending on the villa, right? But let's say for a family, if you need something like a nice 3-bedroom and you want it in a nice community, nice location, a relatively newer home, be prepared to pay like $2,500 per month, right, for rent. Usually plus utilities, which here is primarily electricity, right? That's pretty much it. So it's not super cheap. What we are seeing is that there is an increased demand for long-term rentals, call it 6 months or a year, furnished.
Interesting.
So many properties that used to be, on the market primarily for short-term rentals. Now you have the demand for short-term rentals that is still going up, and it's heavier here during the peak season, basically from December to around March, April. Now that competes with lots of foreigners that want to live here for several months at a time, right? Many digital nomads that maybe can work remotely. And I have someone right now that I'm trying to find a property for, someone that has a good job and they want to spend the whole winter here and then rent it the balance of the year, right? So you see a lot of that. So that's what I would say in terms of rents. And if you want a really bigger villa in a super premium community, etc., be prepared to pay several $1,000s a month too, right? So, but for the most part, between 1,000 and 2,500 is where I would say most of the properties would be. And the market here is pretty dollarized in terms of real estate, both for rents or sales transactions. Everything happens in US dollars. If you want to buy something, of course, also depends on location, but for a really nice condo in a nice location, something that you would really like, or it would be a good product to rent, it starts around 150 to 200K, I would say, even for a one bedroom. And condos can go all the way to $500,000 or more, right? If you have something that is truly beachfront with a nice ocean view, etc. If you are looking for a villa, also something nice, those villas, let's say a 2-bedroom, something nice will start at around 250K, all the way to 350 to 400K. I would say for 400K US, you can buy a wonderful villa here, 3 or even 4 bedrooms, relatively new. So the prices are still pretty affordable, even if we are seeing the prices, go up. People here that are deep working in the market, or even if here, unfortunately, you don't have all the stats and comparables and everything that we used to have in Canada with MLS. Unfortunately, you don't have that transparency. But I'm hearing of prices that have gone up around 30% since the beginning of the pandemic, right? So this year it has been a little bit slower in terms of transactions, but prices have not come down. And it's likely that during the next few months, when we get into peak season, so our Canadian winter, that's where you see the peak season here for everything, both for people that come on vacation and also for sales transactions, right? So the market is still very strong, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see prices continue to go up here.
Cool.
So that's pretty much the range. Sorry, I just want to mention that the range of properties. But then if you want like an older condo that is not in a great location, maybe in the middle of a Dominican town, etc., yes, people can buy condo for 100K or less, I would say. But if you want something nice, it's probably the price ranges that I mentioned before, right?
That's cool. So we're bringing up your website right now. I just want to ask you, man, that just looks so beautiful, that image.
Sorry, it's not my website. It's the website of the broker that I'm working with right now, right? But good.
Hey, no, that's all good. That's all good. Yes, sorry. But, what? So we've established the cost. Like the average person, I'm a single guy. I just want to rent something decent. It's about $1,000 US a month. But what's the cost of living like outside of that? Food, alcohol prices, entertainment. Compare it to Canada. It's much lower, is it not, including getting health insurance and healthcare?
Yeah. I would say prices overall are still lower than Canada. I wouldn't say it's half, no, not at all, right? But it's still lower than than what we see in Canada. If you go grocery shopping, etc., what we see is that it is lower than Canada, but it really depends on what you're getting, right? If you're getting local products, local produce, etc., it's going to be much cheaper. If you want to buy some product that is imported to the island, it's going to be even more expensive than Canada, right? So you have to know what you are getting. So that would be for groceries. I can also tell you from my experience, equipping this new villa and purchasing all the furniture. Yeah, that can be a little bit tricky because, a lot of the furniture or appliances, electronics that come here are going to be even more expensive than Canada, right? So you have to be very, very targeted. So groceries, I would say, definitely a little bit cheaper. Again, furniture, appliances, electronics, all that stuff is probably a little bit more expensive than Canada. Then when you get into healthcare, dental services, all that stuff, it is sensibly cheaper than what you would find in Canada.
Far cheaper.
And there are actually lots of options, right?
Cheaper.
Yeah, so here where we are, there is a really nice, relatively new clinic that we have access to, right, through our prepaid medical plan in Puerto Plata, which is like half an hour from where we are, and it's a larger city. There are three good, healthcare facilities. So, so far, I mean, touch on wood, we, as a family, we never really needed any emergency, healthcare services. But for what we hear from other people, usually people have no issues and they can find good physicians. It's only the extreme cases where if someone's going to need whatever, like brain surgery, something like super complex, they may consider, going somewhere else. But for all the regular stuff, no issues. I know people that have had babies here in the clinics and no issues at all, right? I needed some dental service. I have my two boys going through all the process to get their brackets. They are 15 and 13 years old. And you know what? We're very happy with the service, and all those services cost a fraction of what it would cost in Canada, right? So
yeah. So I mean, in the end, you're saving a lot. To look at it realistically, you can live for $2,500 a month US, so that's like $3,000 Canadian a month, no problem in a lot of cases as a single person in the DR. Try doing that in any major city right now, and I guarantee you're living in poverty. It's crazy. So totally. We're getting to this website now. We got drproperties.ca, so it's got a Canadian address. Interesting. It would not go with the .com, but anyway. Yeah. It's cool. This site is really cool. I love it. It's functional. It's beautiful. It's accessible. So talking about real estate agents, you said there's no licensing required in the DR. So Here's my experience. I'm going to segue to a short story. My girlfriend was looking to buy property a couple of years back in Costa Rica. We went through a friend of mine. He didn't know. He was linked to a property consortium because you have RE/MAX, Century 21, Exit Realty. All of them are down there hustling property in the DR right now. The problem was we had an agent doing the same thing. I think they were from Century 21 trying to hustle a property that had no title to it. Can you imagine buying a fraudulent property like that? So, I mean, this industry is rife with fraud. You have agents up here half the time selling properties and not even really aware about. You need to be attached to boots on the ground. And this is what excites me about this, because I'm looking at the background. You're working with a German gentleman who's been there for 30 years. His property company's been up probably a number of years. You've joined it last year. I'm going to just bring it up a little bit. We're going to take a look at this tab. We could talk about this is the investor section, because this is a section Canadians are interested in. And you guys even have a real estate investor guide. I love this. You're talking about how to get the right support network, lawyers, builders, general contractors, property managers. I mean, this is key, bankers, all of this stuff. And then we get down to the investment team. Look at that handsome fellow that reminds me of Antonio Banderas. There you are right there, brother. So talk to us about the philosophy of this business. Why it's so important to deal with people like you that are there on locale, because I think it's critical.
It is. I can tell you. So when we moved here, initially I was not planning to become a real estate agent because I'm an investor. I'm an investor first. I was, through real estate, it was really a blessing for us. Everything that we've done in Canada, we have properties in Ontario and Alberta. So we did luckily really well for quite a few years. And that really allowed first my wife and then myself to quit our full-time job, right? So I quit my full-time job in December 2022, and then I formally became a full-time real estate agent a full-time investor. And then we moved here, not just for real estate, we moved here for the lifestyle, right? We really wanted to provide that lifestyle for our family. But I realized that, hey, there's still lots of opportunities for me to continue my investing journey. I actually have 5 deals already here under my belt. We can talk about that some other time. But as I was getting into investing heavily and I was trying to find properties and I was talking to lots of different agents and brokers here, it was actually a very frustrating experience because a lot of people here don't really know what they are doing. They're just desperate to make a buck out of real estate. They will try to sell you anything, anywhere, at any price, and they will just pull numbers out of their butt, and you cannot easily call their bluff, right? Because here you don't have comparables, you don't have all the regulation and infrastructure that we have in Canada. That is not perfect, but it's there for a purpose to protect the consumer. At least that's the intent. So here, a lot of people that are trying to buy property, especially foreigners, they don't have much protection, right? They can really fall prey of very interesting marketing campaigns where they show, beautiful renderings, all these projects, and the project may not be priced right. It may not be the right builder or any reputable builder at all. It may not be in the right location. It may be in a location that, hey, if the trend continues like this development for a few more years, maybe that property is going to be in a good location. But if not, if the economy stalls or whatever, you may end up with a property not in the right place, maybe even not the right property, and then you are going to struggle with rents, you're going to struggle with occupancy, etc., right? So it is pretty shady. I really call it the Wild West here because there are no rules. As I mentioned, anyone can do real estate, and even many foreigners do, and they try to do it on their own because they want to keep all the commissions that they can make, right? But so I battled with that in my head for a while, and then I realized that, okay, you know what? Strategically, it makes sense for me to become an agent, for me to invest, for me to continue investing with partners, and eventually to help other clients, right, that are specifically investors, because that's the audience that I love to work with, right? So, and I said, hey, what better than joining one of the best teams here, people that have a outstanding reputation and that know everyone, and they know how to navigate the waters here, right? And they already have lots of outstanding contacts, lawyers, property managers, etc., home inspectors, you name it, right? Insurance advisors, etc. So people that are actually doing it, and that they can really have my back. Exactly. They have the power team, right? The power team that we are so used in Canada. So I really approach this brokerage that have been doing an amazing job for many years in this website. There are incredible resources for people that want to purchase property here, especially people that are retirees, right? Because until recently, most of the people that would come here would be retirees. So they need to understand, how you buy a property here, what about healthcare, what about safety, what about the rental market, etc. So they have been helping regular folks that buy property a lot. What I brought to the team is making sure that we can have the right support for investors. That's why, that page that you show earlier. So that's a new stream that we are building at the brokerage specifically for investors. So every time that we get a deal, that is someone that's probably going to remain in Canada or the US, but is just looking for something as an investment. Those are the clients or the leads that I engage with, right? Because I know, how to talk about investors. I know what they are looking for. I know how important it is to get, to build the power team, etc., instead of just a fly-by-night real estate transaction, which is what happens here. You actually mentioned a really good point, which is a lot of problems with titles. It's not super common here, but there are properties, especially properties that haven't sold for many, many years that may have title issues. You can actually, working with the right set of lawyers, they will have your back and you will be protected. But it can still be a hassle, right? If you already found a property with someone that doesn't know what they're doing, you made an offer, you send the deposit, etc., and then you have to backtrack all that because there are problems with the title. So that's provided that you work with the right lawyer. If you didn't find the right lawyer, yes, you may be all in and you get screwed, right? So, but here is really all about making sure that you have the boots on the ground that can have your back, right? That can direct you to who you need to work with to make sure that the deal goes well from the beginning to end, right? So that's really what we are focusing on here. What I am bringing to this team, right? The team knows pretty well. I'm still an investor. I'm still doing my things, but I love to work with other investors and help other investors. So that's what I'm bringing to this team specifically, right?
I love the passion, and look at the testimonials here. There's just a slew of them, but it just talks about somebody here, right here, Vicky of DR Properties. They went through Vicky of DR Properties. They haven't even seen the property ourselves. That is common. A lot of people internationally, they already own 100 properties or even 10 properties or 5. They're busy full-time working. They just take the trust into somebody else sometimes, and that's risky, but this risk rolled and worked out. And, I'm just looking at some of the testimonials here. You can just see them up here, ladies and gentlemen. This is 3 of an endless amount of screens of them, but it's critical to work with the right team. I even look at my own business in the wine and beer tasting world. You go into the side of restaurants, there's so many scams going on in the sense we want somebody as a server, bartender. Oh, and we want you to be a sommelier, but we're only going to pay you minimum wage. Well, you're not going to get anybody of note. Yeah, sure, they get tips, but it's not the same. When you start to work with a trusted team of experts, they're certified, they're skilled, it's a world of difference. It's not even a negligible difference. It's a giant quantum leap. You look at buying perhaps what is the most expensive investment 99% of the world is ever going to make. It's property. And you cannot have this messed up. You need the right location. It's worth paying. This is what I've learned studying this and working with a lot of you in the international investment scene. It's worth paying a bit more money to have the right property because the rents are going to be a lot higher. The valuation is going to go up exponentially greater over time. You have to listen to people who really care and know what they're doing. You have to work with a team of integrity. What I love is that this is a proven company you're working for and with. You already have a whap of investment experience yourself. This just ties in beautifully. Ladies and gentlemen, definitely reach out to Sergio Mansour if you want to buy a property in the Dominican Republic. I have friends that are looking at the Dominican Republic right now. And my question is, now that I know some of the ins of it, are they looking at it properly? Are they really dealing with proper agents? Yeah, you're dealing with somebody up here. You're wowed by their wow factor. Great. They have certifications up here. They have none down there because they don't exist. Their feet aren't on the ground. And they're probably just trying to hustle because I hate to say it, human nature on most people is not to do the right thing. It's to do the quick thing to get the quick buck. There's always only a small, it's like an iceberg, right? Most of it is under that water line. If you take a look at this, the top point right here is what's above the water line. Well, what's above the water line is people of integrity, trust, honesty, and work ethic. The rest of it floats below. Deal with the people at the top. Don't waste your time with anybody else. That is my business acumen. That is my experience. This is how I portray things when I deal with tasting parties and events with clients. I take them to the top level. I don't swim on the bottom. And things come with integrity. If I don't know a topic, I tell them I don't know a topic. I go research who does. This is integrity. And it looks like you're part of that apparatus. Is there any parting notes or parting things you want to say to our viewers before we go? It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Look at that setting behind you.
Thanks, Rob.
I'm envious. Yeah, it's going to look like that in February.
Yeah, this is the house that we built, right? But what I would say is that it's very interesting what's happening right now. The economy is truly on fire. I mean, if you see many of the statistics among all Latin American countries right now, so maybe as you mentioned, Guyana is an exception. It's not considered Latin America, probably. But among Latin American countries, if you see the GDP growth or the improvement in GDP per capita over the last 20 years, no country gets to the level of what you see here. I mean, it is just booming. Of course, the starting base is pretty low. The GDP per capita, the people here is like $10,000 a year, which is still very, very low. But you have to see where it was 20 years ago, and you have to see the trend, right? And we know investors, for us, it's all about trends, right? I mean, and it's all about trends, right? So you want to find the right property where the fundamentals are good, where it pays for itself, they give you a good return, all that stuff. But if you can combine that with purchasing on a market that has potential to grow and for price appreciation, so then you get the best of both worlds, right? You have a property that pays for itself, you're happy with the return, and very likely a few years from now, you're going to benefit from appreciation too, right? So that's what we are seeing here. At the same time, the word of caution, I think I touched on that briefly, is like there is so much going on because everything is booming, right? This is like a golden era, right? So everyone wants to invest, everyone wants to make some money rush out of real estate. It is a gold rush. So the majority of the projects are not going to be that good. You really need to work with someone that can have your back and will be able to justify basically separating the wheat from the chaff. That's really what you need. Because if you, especially in pre-construction, I can tell you all the marketing or most of the marketing is amazing. The renderings are absolutely amazing. The price point will look attractive. They will sell you Dominican Republic in general and the lifestyle, but that's not a differentiator among projects, right? Because that's going to be for everyone. So it's really a matter of, picking the right projects, both on pre-construction or on resale, that hey, the rentals are going to be good. You are purchasing at a price that makes sense. Sometimes here you can buy some pre-construction opportunities that are still priced below resale. So you say, hey, 20, maybe in a year and a half, the project is going to be completed. So you're likely going to get a bump in equity just because you got in at the right price, even if the market is stable, right? I remember in Toronto, we used to have that many years ago, right? So developers will launch projects and they were usually below resale pricing because you're taking some extra risk, right? It's still not built. You have to wait a few years, etc. Then everything went crazy and they started to sell even above resale prices, right? Here, the main benchmark is the cost, the price per square meter, right? That's how you compare among different properties. And no realtor will tell you that, right? Because that doesn't play to their advantage, right? When they're trying to pitch something to you. But if you can find, a really decent deal and it's priced right, then you're going to be protected. Hopefully you guys get some equity on day one, and then you get all the fundamentals that we're used to in real estate, right? You get the cash flow, you get a decent return, and hopefully you get the future appreciation, right? So, yeah, that's basically what it is, right?
That's awesome.
And as I mentioned, I wanted to make sure that, that I can help with everything that I've learned so far and with with my experience, but my experience here is still relatively limited, right? I just moved here at the end of last year, but I have an awesome team that I can rely on to help me with everything that I need, right? And to bring all that experience that I'm still lacking. So.
Yes, and the team is paramount. Listen, you've been a tremendous guest. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to reach out to drproperties.ca. You're very welcome, Sergio. Make sure to reach out to Sergio on the investment arm. He is correct. It's not so much about him. It's the summation or the gestalt of the entire parts, of all the working parts of the team he's involved in, exactly. Who's been doing this for a combined decades levels of experience. This is at the high level. This is who you want to deal with. You know, you want to deal with people of integrity. Cheers to you, my friend. I've almost finished this beer. It's delicious, actually. I'm surprised at how good this Cristal is. It literally is crystal in a glass. It's such a clear wheat beer. It's definitely been fined and filtered to get it to this level. But listen, cheers to you, my friend. And cheers, ladies and gentlemen, whatever you decide to do, you're very welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever you decide to do, make sure to subscribe, reach out to Sergio. I'm going to have his contact information in the show notes. Whatever you decide to do, have a terrific day. This is Rob and Sergio of this edition of the Happy Hour, the Success Happy Hour with the Drunken Grape.